The movie begins by showing a woman wearing a pack on her back with a beetle insignia on it. She rides a small boat on stormy seas, as the voiceover of a young boy warns the viewer not to blink or forget anything they're about to hear and see. Then a large wave rises in front of her, but she strums her shame as in magically splitting the wave in two, allowing her to pass. She spots land, but before she can reach it, a rogue wave crashes down on her from behind, capsizing the boat. Due to this, the woman hits her head on a submerged rock and washes ashore. She is woken by a cry coming from her pack, and she comforts the baby within, which was actually her son Kubo. He has only one eye. Time passes, and 10 years later we see Kubo and his mother, who used to live in a cave up on the cliffs where they washed ashore. Kubo cares for his mother, who has been reduced to a semi-vegetative state with only moments of lucidity due to the injuries she suffered. He wears a patch over his missing left eye, and a robe made of the cloth he was wrapped in as a baby, which belonged to his father. During the day, Kubo visits the local village with his mother's shamisen and some origami figures he makes himself. Having inherited his mother's magical abilities, Kubo tells fantastic stories about a samurai warrior, Hanzo. Actually, Kubo was a storyteller whose story was heard with great interest by the villagers. In the story, Kubo tells everyone that a long time ago there was a samurai warrior who lived alone because his family and the army were killed by Moon King by deceit. So to take revenge, he went alone in search of a powerful weapon which contained 3 magic pieces of armor: the sword Unbreakable, the breastplate Impenetrable, and the helmet Invulnerable, with the help of which Moon King could be defeated. But before the samurai warrior could get those 3 weapons, Moon King's beast attacked him, right at the moment the bell rings and Kubo rushes home. In the evening, they eat together. There, Kubo's mother tells him a story about Kubo's father Hanzo and how he died protecting Kubo from his grandfather Moon King. She tells Kubo that his father was just like him, besides being a great warrior. Here, she reveals Kubo that your grandfather and your aunt stole one of your eyes, and now they want to steal your other eye as well. That's why you never have to go out at night. Otherwise, your grandfather will find you and will take you away from me. After this, his mother shows him a monkey toy and tells him to keep it with him all the time. Later that night, Kubo finds his mother dreaming and talking in her sleep, causing his origami paper to fly about the room. Kubo wakes her and she asks him what happened to his eye. The next day, the village is abuzz with excitement. It is the day of the Bond Festival, when people can light lanterns to commune with their deceased loved ones. Kubo gets encouraged to light a lantern of his own by his elderly friend so that he could speak to his father, but when he receives no response from Hanzo, he becomes upset and crumples his paper lantern in anger. By now, Kubo has lost track of time and the sun sets. An eerie dark mist surrounds the area, and Kubo's mother's twin sisters, Karasu and Washi, suddenly appear, beckoning Kubo to go with them. Kubo runs to the village, but the sisters pursue him, destroying everything in sight. But at the right time, Kubo's mother runs in to save her son. She uses her magic to give Kubo wings. As he flies away, Kubo grasps one strand of his mother's hair before watching her confront her sisters and disappearing in a powerful blast of energy. After that, Kubo wakes up in a frozen wasteland to see a female snow monkey standing over him, explaining that his mother is gone and they need to move. Else would be found by the sisters. Monkey leads Kubo to a whale carcass where they shelter for the night and feast on whale stew. Monkey explains that she was Kubo's charm, brought to life by the last of his mother's magic, and that they must search for Hanzo's magical armor. It was only thing that could protect Kubo against the Moon King. When Kubo shows Monkey his mother's hair, she weaves it into a bracelet for him. In the morning, Kubo and Monkey discover that, in his sleep, Kubo brought to life an origami figurine of Hanzo, which silently points out a path for them. But Monkey didn't believe in Hanzo at all. But as Kubo believed in him, he says that we should follow him. On the way, Kubo uses his origami and shamisen to pester the ever-serious Monkey, who warns him to control his magic. Shortly after, Kubo is abducted by a giant beetle, who, as it turns out, merely wanted to see the origami Hanzo. They both ask about that beetle, but he was unable to tell them anything, because he didn't remember anything about himself. He was cursed a few years ago, and he says that Hanzo is his master. After learning that Kubo is the son of Hanzo, Beetle begs to be included in their quest, vowing to protect Kubo to his last breath. Monkey reluctantly agrees after seeing Beetle's skill with a bow, and Origami Hanzo quickly points out their next destination. They are led to the entrance of the Hall of Bones. When the beetle touches it, all three of them fall into a cave. And there they see a part of the weapon, the sword Unbreakable. Monkey thinks it's a trap, but the beetle somehow takes out that sword. But then they get to know that the actual sword was guarded by a monstrous skeleton. That is only defeated once. Kubo manages to pull the sword, one out of many swords from the Guardian's head. After that, the demon is killed, and Beetle brings Monkey and Kubo out of the cave. Origami Hanzo then leads them to the edge of Long Lake where Monkey and Beetle argue over Kubo's safety and magical abilities. Kubo takes this opportunity to prove his worth and creates a massive ship out of leaves so they can cross the lake. As they sail, Beetle shows Kubo how to use a bow and arrow for fishing, and Monkey uses the sword Unbreakable to cut up their catch. Kubo is pleased to share a meal sitting between his friends, having never done so before. But then Origami Hanzo points out the location of the breastplate impenetrable below the water's surface. Beetle volunteers to retrieve it, but Kubo warns him of a creature his mother spoke of that lives in the lake, using eyes that stare deep into you. The creature shows you images to entice you to stay submerged forever. On that, Beetle says, "I will always be careful about this," and he dives into the water. On the other hand, both the aunts of Kubo were looking for Kubo. After a while, as a storm comes upon, seeing this, Kubo feels that the beetle is in trouble, and that's why he goes after Beetle to save him. Monkey also wanted to go along with Kubo but gets prevented from following by one of Kubo's aunts. There they start to do battle. The sister mocks Monkey and calls Kubo's mom a traitor for falling in love with Hanzo. Monkey gets wounded in this battle but manages to defeat the sister at last, claiming that falling in love makes people stronger. Meanwhile, Kubo finds the armor but is entranced by the Garden of Eyes. Those magical eyes start pulling him into the water, and Kubo sees a dream in which he finds out that his mom's soul is inside the monkey. But before he could pull Kubo into the water, the beetle comes there and saves Kubo by killing those creatures' eyes, and from there, brings him out on the surface. When Kubo sees the monkey, he hugs her, as now he had found out that the monkey is actually his mom's reincarnation, Sariatu. After this, they sail across Long Lake and shelter in a cave. They all spend the night in the cave. There Kubo asks his mother, Monkey, to tell him the story about his father and Moon King. Sariatu tells him that once the Moon King and her daughters was tasked to kill Hanzo, because if he found the magical armor, he would become too powerful, which could be a threat to them. And that's why I reached before both my sisters to stop Hanzo and upset the natural balance. However, during battle, Hanzo suddenly stopped and started looking into my eyes. And this is how we fell in love and had you shortly after. But when my father Moon King found out about this, he furious over this betrayal. He attacked us to kill me and your dad in return for my betrayal. He stole your one eye. But your dad was very brave who gave his life to save us. Somehow I managed to escape using my magic to keep you safe. Sariatu explains him that the Moon King wants your other eye as well, so that he can then welcome you as his grandson to live with him in his kingdom cold and hard. After Kubo falls asleep, Sariatu confides to Beetle that she didn't tell Kubo her identity before, because the magic that was keeping her alive is fading. Beetle promises to care for Kubo once she's gone. Meanwhile, Kubo has a vivid dream where he meets an elderly blind man playing a shamisen. That ghostly man tells Kubo to find the last piece of the armor, the helmet invulnerable in his father's palace where he might have lived. Kubo wakes excited and tells about this to Monkey and Beetle. Thereafter the trio head out to complete their journey. When they reach the fortress, it was already quite late. The goods inside the fortress were quite broken. After seeing this, Beetle starts to remember something. While exploring the fortress, Kubo comes to the courtyard. But here, Monkey gets a piece of paper from which she gets to know the actual location of the helmet invulnerable. She also gets to know that it was all Moon King's trick to bring them here, and there is no helmet here. In the courtyard, they are confronted by the second sister Washi, who reveals that Beetle is, in fact, Hanzo, whose memories were stored away and manifested in the origami figure that was leading them. There, Beetle and Monkey try to free Kubo, but they are also caught by that magical smoke, and Washi kills Beetle and throws him away from there. But when she goes to take out Kubo's other eye, Kubo attacks her, due to which his mother becomes free, and she attacks Washi. But Washi hurts her a lot, and the moment she was going to kill her, Hanzo comes there and kills her. There Kubo gets very happy to reunite with his parent, but only has a brief moment to cherish the reunion with his family, before Hanzo is fatally stabbed in the back by Washi. But before she could deal a death blow to Sariatu, she tells Kubo to fly home. Kubo quickly grabs and strums his shamisen, breaking 2 of the 3 strings, and setting off a large blast of energy that eliminates the sister. When the dust settles, Kubo sits silently alone, Hanzo lies motionless, and the monkey charm is broken at Kubo's feet. Kubo sheds a single tear for his parents. After which Origami Hanzo, despite being crushed by Washi, points weakly at a drawing of the helmet. Kubo realizes the helmet is in his old village, disguised as the bell that always tolled at sunrise and sunset. He picks up the sword and the string from his father's bow, making a bracelet from it, and putting it on his wrist beside his mother's hair. He strums his shamisen, breaking the last string. Wings form on his back, and he flies back to his village. The villagers meekly greet him from the rubble, but he warns them to leave because the Moon King is coming. He retrieves the helmet, completing his armor, and demands his grandfather to face him. The Moon King appears, and it is revealed to be the same old man from Kubo's dream. Kubo asks him that why do you want to take my eye? Moon King tells him that as long as you have this eye, you can't come with me to heaven, and you will keep seeing the pain of the world with this eye. I want to take you away from here to my world, where there is no sign of pain and sorrow, and you will become immortal there. But Kubo refuses his proposal, soon after which the Moon King takes the form of a gigantic fish-like creature and attacks, knocking Kubo into the nearby forest. The Moon King confronts him in the graveyard, where the village ancestors are buried. As the hiding villagers look on, Kubo uses his mother's hair, his father's bowstring, and a hair from his own head to restring his shamisen, while the Moon King mocks him. Kubo uses the shamisen and his magic to summon the spirits of the village ancestors, telling Moon King that his memories make him strong, and it's the most powerful kind of magic, and saying this Kubo makes a protective shield with the help of his magic. The Moon King moves in to finish Kubo, but is repelled by the spirits, and a final wave of magic from Kubo finishes his grandfather's monster form. The Moon King is left alive, but reduced to a mortal man, blind in one eye, and with no memories of his own. The villagers step forward and introduce Kubo as his grandson, each one of them offering the Moon King a memory of acts of kindness, and how he's beloved by the people in the village. Kubo agrees to be his grandfather's storyteller. As the sun rises, Kubo lights 2 lanterns for his parents and wishes for them. And with this, the movie comes to an end.